Oh, I am not sure. Oh, there I am. Oh, I've been having troubles getting on this evening. YouTube wasn't cooperating. So I'd like to welcome everybody. My name is Judy Anderson from judystamps.com, and we are going to be playing with our new Stampin' Blends and some rubbing alcohol tonight. Just checking to make sure that I am on live. And here we go. So there we go. Okay, it showed a black screen, which is what my screen was showing me for a while here. So I'd like to welcome all of you, whether you're watching live or on replay. If you're watching live, give a shout out, say hello, let me know you're here. If you're watching on replay through Facebook, say hello and just make a comment replay so I know you watched on replay. And for my YouTube viewers, hello, good evening, how are you? I'm glad you're here, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you are alerted every time I come on live. So tonight we are going to be playing with our new Stampin' Blends that were just released in our All Together collection. That's our special from now until May 2nd. Or until quantities last. Now, in this collection, you're going to find a stamp set and dies, as well as designer series paper and the blends we're using tonight. Now, the only thing that will carry over into our annual catalog are the Stampin' Blends. But I encourage you to get them because I have been playing with them. And if you've watched my last couple lives, you know I am infatuated with these Stampin' Blends. We have been waiting a long time for some skin tones, and we have them now. And it is amazing the different tones you get out of these browns, from pinks to dark browns. So tonight I am going to show you a technique, but I wanted to show you it on different papers. So I'm going to do the same technique. Some of them I'm going to be using a squirt bottle, and others I'm going to be using a spritzer. But basically we're going to be doing the same technique, because I know every time I do a technique like this, I get a lot of people asking questions. Can I use vellum? Can I use shimmer paper? What does it do on watercolor paper? What about basic white? So tonight we're using them all. Okay, so let's get started, everybody. I'm going to flip you around. There we go. Just change that up a little bit. Okay. I am not wearing my mic tonight, so I hope that you can hear me okay. The last couple lives, my mic cord has been getting in the way, and you guys haven't complained about it, but it bothers me. So like I said, let me get this a little bit straighter so you're not cockeyed here. There we go. We are using our new Stampin' Blends. So we have new colors, and there's 10 of them, from 100 to 1,000, from the darkest to the lightest. I have numbered them all on the end. So I'm going to line them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oops, 9, 10, 7, 8. So as you can see, the darker colors are the lower numbers. So they start at 100 and we go to 1,000, which is the lightest color. And I've numbered them 1 through 10. So I know. And I am storing them so I can see the numbers in my Stampin' Blends storage, which you can purchase through my online store. And we are going to be we're not doing any stamping to begin with. We're only doing the technique. I do have some paper towel here in case I get splattered over the sides. I have some older graph paper we're going to be using because this does get messy. Now most of my paper, except for the watercolor paper, is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. So I have our basic white. And then I have, oh, that cord is bothering me, the shadow, some cardstock vellum, okay? Then our shimmer white, Okay, that's got that shimmer to it. And then, of course, our Fluid 100 watercolor paper. I love this watercolor paper. Everything seems to work really well. It's one of the smoother watercolor papers. And people tell me that there is a smoother side. And I'm guessing that would be this side because I don't see as much texture on this side. So we're going to be doing it on this side. So the tools I'm going to be using tonight, besides the Stampin' Blends, is I just have this little bottle here. It's got a very fine needle nose on it. And this is just 91% rubbing alcohol. So this is what it is. I would not use the lighter or the, what is it, 85 or something like that alcohol. With this, I would stick to the 91%. Then I have one of our spritzer bottles. And I was panicking tonight because I normally have one bottle that is cleaned out that I've cleaned really well after I've used them. But I went in there and all of them had either alcohol and ink or water and ink in them. So we have a little bit of red left in this one. And oh my gosh, when I was cleaning this out, I thought I had it all out, but I couldn't get it out of the lid. So I had to put it all back together because I tear it all apart to clean it. And when I put this on, it squirted and it squirted all over my wall. And it looked literally like someone was shot. So I had to clean that off my wall real quick. But it's not going to hinder this at all. I'm just going to squirt it a couple times. And as you can see, it's coming out clear. So we're okay. So I'm going to color on these, and half I will spritz and half I will use the rubbing alcohol. And we may have to pull out our heat gun in the end just to dry this off, just depending on how wet I get this. So I'm starting, first of all, with dry paper. And I am just going to pick out the colors I want. And we're going to use the same colors on all of them. So I am going to use number 4, some number 1, or 10, 4, 10, and 7. I have 6 here. Let's use 7. Oh, that's 5. I'll get 7 yet. Where is 7? 4, 10, 7 is pinkier. That's why in my mind, the lightest color should be the lowest number, and that's not how they're numbered. So I do want to go a little bit darker than this. So I am going to pick the number 2. Okay, so we're using number 2, number 4, and number 10 on all of them. And I'm going to start with my lighter color. And I am just going to kind of scribble circles or dots all over. And I do want to get some darker areas of this, so I am coloring in quite a bit. Okay. I have been using these a lot. I already need to buy some refills for them because they don't come in a light and a dark. So next we want number 4. So we're going to just color in some number 4. And there's really no rhyme or reason to this. I just want to make sure I get it covered. So it's number 4. And then we have number 2. And we're going to put in some of this dark, just scribbling it. We might want some areas to be a little bit darker. Okay. We've got that. So now I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to do half of it one way and half of it the other. So I am going to do the spritzing first. So I am going to spritz on this upper half and really douse this paper. Okay, so there is a lot of ink on there. And you're going to see that this is the basic white, and this I'm going to squirt and try to move it. Now, when I say I'm going to try to move it, I'm trying to move the ink. But as you can see on the basic white, it doesn't move a lot. I could even take my Stampin' Blend after the fact and put it in there, and it really doesn't color on there because the alcohol kind of washes it out. So that's our first one, okay? So that's basic white. And the basic white absorbs it a little bit more. And I do need to get another piece of paper or graph paper so that I can put it to the side. So let me put this to the side. We're just going to let that finish doing what it does. Next, I'm going to use the shimmer white. Once again, we're going to color on it. Oops, it's getting a little bit of alcohol. I don't want that. So while we're coloring, I'm just going to color. I should have probably picked number 2 because number 1 I've used the most out of these because I've been using it to lighten up the other colors, and it's a pinkier color. Number 2 is the darkest, so we want number 4. I remember right, so we're going to just scribble in some color. And as you can see, I am doing it kind of in a directional, but you don't have to. You could color circles or whatever. Then we're going to take number 2. That was 4. This is 2. It's darker. Let's get some color up there. And I just want to kind of go in between some of these colors here. I'm coloring up a lot of that number 2. I just want to get some of that darker color in between there. Okay, same thing. Let me grab my mat here. We're going to squirt it with our spritzer. And once again, the spritzer only has 100% alcohol. I haven't mixed it with anything. So as you can see, that's what it's doing. And here's with the spritz bottle. Okay, so as you can see, it's still not moving as much. Okay, it was absorbed in, and you can still see my lines. Let's put that to the side and let that dry. Now you're going to be surprised when you see these when I bring them back. Vellum. Okay, I love our cardstock vellum. Let's do the same thing with our cardstock vellum. I know which one's my favorite. Don't forget, I want you to comment which one is your favorite. So you're not going to see this color as much on here. Let me see if I can do it on a dry part of our graph paper. It's very light. This is a light color. In fact, I should go to number 2 just so it's a little bit darker. Then we're going to go to number 4 and color in some circles and just do some in between. Okay, just scribbling it. It doesn't really matter, you guys. Okay, and I want some of this dark next to the lighter. I do know that. So I am kind of directional, putting it in some spots that I do want it. And see how much lighter it looks on the vellum? Okay, so we've got that on there. So watch this. So now we're going to take the spritzer and we're going to spritz it. Okay, and see what happens? The ink is moving. Okay, now with the spritzer or with the bottle, I can kind of push that ink where I want it. Okay, and it curls up. I'm going to kind of bend it in, but see how the vellum resists a lot more. Now, I did this with lighter colors and not the darker colors. I should have done with a little bit darker because I know that it lightens up on here, but we're going to put this to the side, and this is going to be the one that takes the longest to dry. Got paper towel here. And put it to the side. And now you have seen I've colored all of these the same way. Okay, on this one, you're going to see it a lot more. This is the watercolor paper, okay? And so what do you think the watercolor paper is going to do? I love our watercolor paper for a lot of techniques. I use it. This is the size it comes in, which is, I have to remember, oh my gosh, 5 by 7. So I use it for smaller pieces on my cards and not for a whole card, obviously, but it is the best for watercoloring. Oops. Sorry. My phone just went off, so I can't see comments. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take the number 1 again. I'm going to use this side. And look how much pinkier it looks in here. And, well, that's going to take forever. Let's use this side. And you'll notice as I'm coloring on this, I'm using the side of the brush tip. I don't color directly up and down. I use the side. You can actually kind of make them together and apart. Okay, so we've got a lot of that color on there because that's the color that's going to seem to fade away. Number 4, let's use number 4. Let's color in. And, you know, depending on how you color it and how you maneuver your paper, it can actually look like marbling also. So just be wary of that. And if you purchase these blends through my online store or through me by emailing me at judy@judystamps.com, and Judy is with an I will give you that chart that I shared with you the other day that you need. And you will want to watch my Tuesdays live, which, let me see, what was the date? Today's the 10th, so it would have been the 8th. Watch the video if you're on YouTube from the 8th, and on my Facebook page, you will want to look at the live from the 8th. Okay, I think we've got enough dark in there. Crazy, huh? And I go into the blends a lot more, coloring with them, and the chart. Okay, here's our spritzer. Look at that. We've almost used it all up. So I'm going to spritz the bottom because it seemed to run down before. So we are going to spritz this. And look, it doesn't move as much as it did, does it? So now I'm going to pour this on. So I bet I can guess which one is going to be your favorite. Okay, it's really not moving, is it? And that's because we didn't put alcohol down on our paper before we did the coloring. And that's because we really can't do a whole lot of that. Let me grab, ran out of paper towels. I thought I grabbed enough. I have a baby wipe here. I'm just going to blot this to dry it. And hopefully the other side didn't get too wet. Well, it's a little bit wet, but that's okay because I'm going to give it a spritz. Okay, and let's try coloring. I am going to color it with darker colors this time. And, oh, I'm coloring this way, not that way. So, and as you can see, it's still, the color's not coming off real well because that alcohol is kind of acting a little bit like a resist, quite honestly. Let me get the next color. I don't know which one I picked up, but you can see with this one, it is spreading out a little bit more than that last one. We're going to go ahead and go over the top of that last color and just do some connecting here. Okay, I'm going to grab number 2, I think. Or not 2, 9. Or let's do 8. Just because it's a little bit darker and you'll be able to see it on here. So there's the 8. And I'm coloring right over those. But as you can see, it still does not blend. And look how peachy that looks on here. It still does not blend as good as the vellum did. Oh, I'm running out of alcohol in here. So we need to use the squirter. Okay, so even though I had alcohol on it to begin with and then drew on it, it's still not spreading as well as it does on vellum. So that's why I recommend doing this technique on vellum. And oops. So this was our watercolor paper. Here's our basic white. Look at it, took away a lot of the color. It just evaporated. The color actually evaporated off. It did smear a little bit. Here is our shimmer paper. And once again, it did meld in there a little bit. Okay, this is our vellum, and I used light color. So look what happened to it. It kind of went away, right? So I'm going to get rid of these. I am going to, because I wanted to use the same colors on all of them, I am going to redo this and show you with my darker colors. So I am going to use the number 1. And the darker the color, the less color you have to put on it. So that is number 1. This is number 6, which is lighter. And then we'll use number 2 or number 9. Yeah, if I can find it here. Here's 8. Well, we'll use 8 just because I can find it. Now you can hardly see it colored on here. And I'm going to tell you, the lighter the color, the more of the color you actually want on your paper. Okay, so let me see how this is going to go. And I'm going to squirt this on here. Okay, and now I'm going to move it around a little bit because I want that veining in there and that texture. And I want the color to move. Okay, and like I said, your vellum will curl up. Okay, and it does get lighter as it dries. Now, normally I don't like to use my heat gun on it because your heat gun even moves the color around. So let me grab the heat gun. It's going to be a little bit noisy tonight. A little bit noisy here. I want to move some of that color back to the middle. So I'm only putting this on low. So, and see how I can push that color in. I could even bend this up a little bit to get some of that color in, and as it dries, it'll kind of settle. I like the more natural look when I do this, so that is why a lot of times I will not use my heat gun. I will just do a big piece of this. I'll lay it down, and look at that. This is actually really gorgeous. And you can't see a whole lot of the lighter color in here. And see, we got that little dab there. I may not even have that in my paper. I love doing this for masculine cards. Let's get this. I have done this technique with some of our regular blends, some of our standard colors that we've had. But I wanted to show with these skin tones, because it's not just for skin tones, you guys. It's for more than that. You can use this for trees. You can use this for, I showed you seashells the other day. So this is not drying as fast as I want it to. You can see it's still a little bit wet there. I'm going to turn it up just because it's actually done moving. Okay, isn't that gorgeous though? Look at that. Some of that veining in there isn't dry. Can you see that? The flickering of the wet ink. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take my sunflower set. Now, my sunflower set is probably the one set that is current that I have that does not have a lot of lines on it. All the rest of mine have a lot of lines or are solid. And I'm going to show you with the Forever Fern. So I'm going to do on half of it, on part of it, I'm going to do our sunflower. And I am going to stamp the sunflower. I am going to use my Stamparatus just because. If I don't get a good impression, I can do it twice. And I like a good deep impression. So we're going to use this. We used this the other night when we were the other day when we were stamping also. So I'm going to stamp it on that quadrant over there. So I'm going to put my magnets over here on this side, making sure that I hold this all down. I think I can get that there. That looks wet, but it's not. I think it's just the ink is all kind of done up. Okay, so we're going to put this all the way on that side. Okay, and I think normally what I would do is possibly I would emboss it, but my paper is not dry enough to emboss, so I don't want to try it. So I am going to use our darkest brown because none of our yellows would show up. If I had some yellow embossing powder, I probably would use that. We don't carry a colored embossing powder. So I'm just inking this up really, really well. And let's go ahead and use my tool. My hands are sore today. I call it a pajama day. I didn't have any classes. I didn't have to go out anywhere today. So I was in my pajamas all day. In fact, I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, we can't see that, so I am going to have to emboss it. I am still in my pajamas. Okay, I just threw a sweater on so it looks like I was in clothes. So that's a little secret between me and you guys. Okay, so let me grab my embossing powder. And I do have some gold. We could do silver also. Oh, I don't have much gold. So it looks like, let me see. This is silver. We're going to do silver just because I have silver. I don't have enough gold right now. My order has not come, and I could not order the gold because it was out of stock. It has not come in, but it's supposed to be in soon, so I'm hoping for that. So let me grab our Versamark and my embossing buddy. Now, if you don't have an embossing buddy, you could grab, I go to the children's section of the dollar store and get socks there. And you could just get some talcum powder and put that inside. You can see that that's not all dry. And use that. That works too, to keep all of the extra beads off, plastic beads off your paper. So let's press this down real good. Another set that would look really good with this would be the Amazing Silhouettes. Okay, we're only going to do that once because it popped up and I don't want to tempt fate. Okay, I just had my silver embossing powder. Here it is. Let me grab my tray. But I think that one would look just amazing on here. You could emboss it. So we're embossing this. Let's tap it down. Hoping that this paper wasn't too wet. I could have done it on the back side, but it wouldn't show through as well. Let's heat this up and you can see what it will look like. I'm not going to cut it out. But we'll go ahead and just heat this up. But this gives such a cool look to whatever you stamp on. And, you know, I probably would just do a square around it. Let me let that cool a minute. Let me pull in our paper trimmer. Okay, and I'm just going to cut a straight line. And what I will do is I'm going to be posting these on my blog at judystamps.com. And I will post my end card on there. Okay, so I'm just going to cut that off so I don't wreck that. But look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Wait till you see what I do with it. It's going to be gorgeous. Okay, so we have that one. Another stamp set, if you wanted to stamp on solid, would be our Forever Ferns. Now we have a long rectangle. You know what? I have some die cut in here. Look at how this would look. Just with these these pieces on here, like that. Okay, let me get some cardstock behind here. I don't necessarily, here we have this, and I've got a little green one left. Oh, I've got some stuff left here. Let's just tuck that in there. I could have tucked it under here. Let's see. Let's tuck it this way. It can go off of this, but let me just grab a piece of cardstock here so you can see what this paper would look like on there. Okay, so I'll make a card with this because I don't want to emboss on both of them. So I will make 2 cards. But once again, I'm going to pull in all our papers so you can see them. So you don't ask me, Judy, can I do this technique on this paper, this paper, and this paper? I highly recommend it on the vellum. Okay, that's how I teach it. You could possibly do it on the watercolor paper. See how once it melds in there a little bit, it is spreading out a little bit more, but you're still seeing your lines, which is okay. I can't stamp on it right now because it's really wet. But if we were to take our, let me grab my amazing silhouettes. I don't know how this is going to stamp on there right now. I'm going to guess not too good. Let me heat it up a little bit, just so you can see the effect. I shouldn't do this on my silicone mat. That's why it's all wavy already. But let's get this on here. Let's dry this off as quickly as we can. And you know, there's nothing wrong with this. This look on here. You will get a more marbly look on your vellum. But so let's get this on here. Let me get a block, and embossing would be the best way to go. Let me try the Evening Evergreen on here because we have green. And let's just ink this up really good. I'm not sure how much this is going to show through here. Let me try a lighter spot. Let's try right in here. Not what I really wanted to do because I could use more of this, but that's okay. This is just to show you. Let's get that on there. And look at that. And look at the difference. So once I cut this out, just imagine cutting it out and having that on a card. Look at that. That's beautiful. Okay. So this is on the watercolor paper. So you see what it does. It doesn't look too spectacular without being stamped on, but when you stamp on these, you guys, it gives it a totally different look. Let's go with, this is the shimmer paper. So we're going with the shimmer paper. And I'm going to use the same image. Let's just use the same image since we're having luck with that. Just ink it up. And let's put it on here. And we're going to put this one on here this way. So this card will be a little bit different. And like I said, I will be putting it up on my blog. This will be, tomorrow's Friday, 11, 12, the 14th. Okay. Now this color wasn't as dark on there, but still, if we take everything else away, look at that. It's gorgeous. Okay. Now the basic white, I will tell you, is my least favorite. And it is the one that I probably would not do this technique on. but it depends on the stamp that you're using. So I am going to go with Night of Navy. So I'm completely changing this up because I want this good and dark. So I'm going to go Night of Navy, and I am going to go right over here, just like this. Let's press that on. I want to get a good image on there. And my arms are a little weak. So yeah, pajama day. And look at that. Once again, if we cut off that excess, and I'm going to go ahead and cut off the excess on all of these. Let me cut this one. Oh, let's cut it here and here. And look how that changed that. It's beautiful. Beautiful. And I'll bet you guys are going to say, oh, I don't like that basic white at all. Or you know, probably the vellum would have been the one that you would have chosen. Okay, and look at that one. How it changes it once you cut it. Okay, this is the one I didn't want to cut or stamp in the middle. I should have stamped on the side, but I can still do something with all this excess paper. I want a long strip this way, I think. Let's just turn these down. Okay, so here we go again. Here is our basic white. Gorgeous, right? Here is our shimmer white. It's gorgeous. Here's our watercolor paper. Look at this, you guys. Are you excited as I am about this? And then, of course, our vellum, which you can't see a whole lot unless I put it onto a white background here. And this is what it looked like beforehand. Okay? So let me flip you all around. I hope you guys enjoyed learning how to do that technique. It's rather simple. You could actually put a little bit of a water-based ink into the alcohol also. If you wanted like a pinker background or something, you could put a little bit of pink in there and spritz it. That way it would bring some lighter color out also. So play with this, you guys. These are the kind of things that I love to sit down and just play, and I'll have a bunch of pieces and then I'll make some cards out of them. So until we meet again, everybody, happy stamping.